You know how since we were kids, our parents, our teachers would always say more knowledge is better, knowledge is power. And I agree. I mean, it's kind of obvious that the more knowledge you gain, the better for you, your life, yada yada yada. Yeah, I don't need to talk about it. But I do think at some point it can hamper you, especially when you get on to self-improvement. Which is, I would imagine that's what you're into if you're watching these kind of videos. From the end of 2022 to about probably mid 2023, I consumed a crap ton of knowledge as much as I possibly could from self-improvement type stuff. I read, like, I remember I kept track of it. From that period of end of 2022 to about close to mid 2023, I read like 30, 35 something books on self-improvement based stuff. I was watching videos, podcasts, everything to gain knowledge. I thought that, doing that was actually productive and that, I'm gonna become the successful dude by doing this. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that was a mistake that I made, but eventually it got to the point where it was just way too much for me to really keep in my head. It came to a point when, I would relate anything that happened in my life to self improvement. Like, if something did not fit in with the whole self improvement niche, I would not do it in my life. For example, sometimes I would have to go out with my family or whatever, and if it did not, if it was something fun, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing it. That's how, like, out of hand it got. And eventually it came to the point where I just completely lost interest in it, because it's like every book I was reading, every video I was reading, the same topic, the same freaking thing, people were saying different things on it. For example, let's take meditation. Some people would be like, oh, meditate for 10 minutes, it's amazing for the mental health. The other person's like, no, it's a waste of time, just work hard instead. And that's just a little minor example. Everyone, like, there's one topic and there you have 10 different people saying 10 different things on it, and it got it got too much for me. When you watch, for example, you're scrolling through shorts or something, and you watch one guy say something on a specific topic, and then you 2 shorts later you're looking at someone else and you're like, that guy said this, and now you're saying this. That's what happened. And as time has gone on, I've completely believed and sort of bought into this lifestyle of keeping things as simple as possible, no matter what. People can have a bunch of different opinions on the same thing, but at the end of the day, it's you who has to make the decision. Everything comes down to what you think of it. And I have tried to do that, whenever I'm making any decision in life. Because at a point, I was just squeezing in so much into my head. I was just listening. Every self improvement influencer was like, oh, you read more books, even if you're out of school, knowledge never stops and all this stuff. And I was constantly consuming knowledge, and it was just way too much, but there's only so much your head can handle. It got way too much for me, and then I just completely stopped. Like, since then till now, I have not read a single self improvement book. And purposely, like, when self improvement stuff come up on my feed, I will purposely avoid it unless I actually want to know what's in that video. We live in a world full of social media where, a simple, okay, I'm opening Instagram and the latest news. Like, that's how easy it is. You don't have to go looking for it. And that's the problem. Because I don't want to compare things to the olden days, but you know how when you need something, you go on a newspaper, you find out about it, or go on the internet and find out about it. Now it's to the point where you don't even want to know about it. You hop on to freaking Google and you have the page telling you, yada, 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 the latest news. And it's like, oh, that's cool. And then the next day you watch and then there's some new news, and these things keep bundling up in your head without you even knowing, and eventually it just leads to a ton of clutter in your mind where you can't think clearly. Like, there's been times when I could be scripting my videos, planning out my videos for the future, and all of a sudden a little thought comes into my head. 2 minutes later, I'm trying to get back to typing my script out, and I've completely forgotten what was in my head that I needed to type out. And that's happened to someone who practices meditation every day, tries to prioritize good mental health every day, and yet I have that issue. If you know the basics of self-improvement, basic stuff like setting up your freaking goals and working hard towards them, I genuinely don't think there's anything you need to know, anything else that you need to know, unless you actually want something out of it. For example, if you're into YouTube and you want to know how to editing, you go and search up how to edit. Into, you want to make money, you go and search, okay, what's the right business for you? That's fine, yes. But it gets to a problem when you look up on something and then you scroll through 5 different videos on the same topic. Don't do that, because it's like 5 different videos, each of them will say a different thing on the same thing. Take fitness, for example. On one hand, you have people telling you work hard, just train hard as possible, train to failure. And now you have the other people saying, oh no, reps in reserve, just don't train that hard, don't go to failure on every one of your sets, do higher sets, higher volume, low sets, all this. Yeah, that's the same with self-improvement. Honestly, that's the same with anything in life. The more knowledge you consume, it's not the better. It's a stupid concept that people have just thrown around, which I don't believe in. It's good to know about something and go on to learn about something that you actually want to know. For example, like making money and stuff. If you want to know about it, sure, go ahead. But most of us, because of social media, we take things into our head that we don't even really want to know. Like, we're not curious about it, yet we get it into our head. Why? Because scrolling. You're on YouTube, you're like, oh, let me just watch one video. 10 minutes later, you have a bunch of knowledge in your head that you don't even need to know, and it's not good for you, like people say. And especially with self-improvement, I've noticed when you're doing something and you have your way of doing something, and you watch someone else speak on the same thing and they have a different opinion, it can literally cause self-doubt. So you want to make sure you don't get into too much knowledge. That's the basic message from this video. Bro, just keep things simple. I think that's, if you look at every successful person in life, after a stage of maturity, they literally keep things as simple as possible. And I'm no great successful person yet, but I think keeping things simple can do a world of good for anyone. Oh,